Welcome to this edition of Diaspora Central Spotlight with individuals that has seen me come up. We have been part of a band that we had no instruments, and we made up instruments. We played on the tables, on pots, on whatever you name it. If we could make music, we made it together. And today I am proud to present to you this individual that comes from a true bloodline of entertainers from Southern Maryland. If you don't know where there is, you need to go there, because that's where one of the men that definitely improvised and made a signature of the brass and the funk that today you know as funk came from. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this brother. He's a poet, he's an actor, and he is also a rapper, so he's got bars. Johnny Rossettos, welcome to Diaspora Central Spotlight.
Thank you, Gil. Thank you.
Yes.
I don't know about the rap, but it's been quite some years since I dropped some bars.
Yeah. But,
they still formulate in my mind when I hear things.
There you go.
It's something that when you a true like poet and lyricist, like when you see situations, it just naturally comes to you.
Right.
It's in.
Yeah, no, I think it's natural. It's almost like it's almost like riding a bicycle. When you ride it, it definitely just comes. Yeah. Johnny Rossettos.
Yes.
The actor.
Yes.
Not bad at all, brother. Not bad at all for us, huh?
No, not at all.
Bless
not
him.
at all.
And you're still looking like you're 16.
I'll take that. You know,
I'm seeing a few grays trying to sneak in there, here and there.
Silver.
Right? Yeah.
That's silver.
Yeah.
Gray don't shine like that. That's silver.
That's silver, right?
Right.
It's gotta be. But man, whoa, let's go ahead and start with you, brother. Let's start by where you actually let's first start with the background of that bit of Southern Maryland, that piece of Bryan's Road, Indian Head, where you from, right? Let's start from there, like some of the highlights of that road. I don't even want to go into the highlights as a general area. I want to go into the highlights as the family highlights, because a lot of people don't realize that, and today they see you like popping up here and there, and they think that, oh wow, that just happened. They don't realize that you come from a lineage of individuals that have already done it. So let's start by you telling us who you are and where you're from, and the family associations and the inspirations that have actually made you who you are, man. I'll stay quiet, and because my audience, I think our audience just needs to hear that. I'll just stay quiet and listen, brother.
Okay, it's funny how you automatically went to Bryan's Road, not only because that's where I'm from, but what a lot of people don't know is my great grandfather gave Bryan's Road its name.
Whoa, hold on, brother. You just dropped a real fact here. This is a first, all right? This is a first right here on Diaspora Central. Go ahead and say that again.
My great grandfather, J. Wesley Key Sr., gave Bryan's Road its name. And every time I try to edit that on Wikipedia, it gets removed.
Wow.
And I even have a news article that backs up. This isn't just some hand-me-down story from family to family claim.
Right.
It's
documented on papers.
Yes, because he had Key's store, the general store.
Right.
And, my Uncle Junior had it.
Yes, afterwards.
So the
I know the building. I ran some wires in that building when
right. So you know where the building sits.
Yes, sir.
So you know that path that used to go to the neighborhood Strawberry Hills?
Yeah, Strawberry Hills. Right after you pass. Wow.
Because there was a strawberry farmer, Mr. Bryan.
Okay.
That's how Strawberry Hills got its name, because he had a strawberry farm that they turned into a neighborhood.
Right.
He used to come get the mail from Key's store, because that was the mail drop.
Right.
And pass it out to the neighbors.
Gotcha.
Well, when the postmaster came to Key's store, because that was the mail drop, and asked them what should we name this place, he said, well, name it Bryan's Road, because Mr. Bryan's Road is right there and he delivers the mail to everybody.
Wow. Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Dude, this show is gonna be hot. I'm gonna have to take off my jacket at a certain point, because I'm telling you right now, dude, you just dropped a real bomb on me. Seriously. This is wow. Wow.
And so that's the lineage I come from. I come from not only the person, and this man not only had the first store in that area, grocery store, if you will,
right,
and named Bryan's Road, but he also was the founding member of the chapter of the NAACP of Charles County.
Talk about that political and that socio-political and economic involvement in the community.
Yeah.
Real blood.
To with you knowing me,
right,
and me telling you that now, it's no surprise to you as to how I am as a person.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, not only
it's in my bloodline.
Oh yeah, you're lying.
Great uncle that was like a father to you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. James Clark, Mr. Oh yeah. Right. That's pops. That's pops to me, really. And
right.
Wow.
And his father, my great grandfather, was the first licensed black electrician in Charles County.
Wow. Man. I'm gonna love this story, this show. I'm gonna tell you right now, Luke. I'm gonna love this show. And I gotta tell you something. Okay? I'm gonna tell you this. Mr. James Clark changed my life when I was, and I'm gonna try to tell you this without getting emotional. Okay?
It's fine to get emotional.
Yeah. I was, 17 years old. And we were doing some work, like sorting out the box with the electrical connectors in the basement and stuff. And when we got done on a Saturday, he was like, "Oh, what are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "Nothing. I'm just gonna, I guess after church, He was like, "Oh no, after church, then let's come here and let's watch a tape." And I said, "Okay." So after church, he picked up and boom, he brought me over to the house, and he took this tape by Leslie Brown.
Yeah.
The motivational speaker.
Yeah.
And he put that tape in, and we watched that tape together. And dude, I will tell you right now, that day, my perspective on life changed. That was a changing point in my life, man, because hearing that story from Les Brown and understanding my situation and the circumstances in which I was in allowed me to realize that, you know what, there's an horizon way beyond what I'm seeing right here. So all I need to do is just do what I need to do, because from here on up, everything is going to happen, dude. And trust you and me, when I say that's pops to me, that's really like pops to me. You know that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that's pops to me, man. From aside from being the individual also that would actually sit there and tell me the stories from the war in Japan and his travels while in the military, just giving you that knowledge and that understanding of letting you know that, listen, the world doesn't just end where you are. Don't limit yourself just to this, giving us the technical skills to be able to listen. Whenever you expose, there used to be the one thing that he always said, whatever you expose to, make sure you learn it, because you never know when you're gonna need it.
Yep.
So those things make the essence of that community right there.
Yeah. And the thing about Leslie Brown,
right,
is I met him and he's 100% real to who he is. Like, you have some motivational speakers,
right,
that don't walk it like they talk it.
Right.
It was the early 90s, and he just had some sort of surgery, and he had a couple guys, and I guess he wanted to get out and get some fresh air. He still had his gown on from the hospital.
Right.
And I just spoke to him, and I was like, man, you know, how you doing?
Right.
With a smile on his face. Now, mind you, he's having help walking.
Right.
He was with a smile on his face. He honestly said, "I'm doing better than most."
Wow.
He did not let those
right.
current circumstances change his outlook on his overall circumstance.
Right. Yeah. That's deep, man. That's deep. I'm telling you, a lot of respect for that man. And Mr. James Clark is the one who introduced me to that right there. That Sunday, he changed my life, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And not only that about my Uncle Junior, as we called him,
mm-hmm.
he always instilled in us, because getting degrees was the thing now, because
mm-hmm.
you know, now blacks had access to able to get into colleges that they couldn't get in before.
Right.
But he always said, no matter how many degrees you had,
mm-hmm.
make sure you know a trade.
Yeah.
Because if you know a trade, can't nobody stop you from working but you.
There you go. Indeed. And if you remember, for quite a while also, I believe he was a member of the a board of directors for the Votech Center or something. He was very involved in the Votech Center for Charles County.
And that's why.
Right. Yeah.
And if you look at what he said back then, it's somewhat prophetic now, because you have these people who have degrees and can't even get a job.
Indeed.
For what they went to school for.
Indeed.
But if you have a trade, whether it be plumber, truck driver, carpenter, electrician, barber, beautician, nail tech, you can work.
Oh yeah, you're still doing something.
And you're making a nice amount of money.
Indeed. Oh yeah, indeed, definitely. But listen, Johnny, we gotta take a very brief break, and I gotta show, man. We're gonna have to find something regarding Charles County, regarding Bryan's Road or that area, just to show the audience, because they need to understand what we're talking about. So let's take a very quick break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Diaspora Central. I am your host, Gil Ingles, the show where we will be showcasing diaspora culture and diaspora talent. Be sure to catch us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Every week, a new program just for you. Stay tuned. All right, and we are back. If you have just tuned in, you are listening to Diaspora Central Spotlight, and my guest today is Johnny Rossettos, an actor, a poet, a writer, a creative, and now also making his point as a historian directly from Bryan's Road, Maryland. Trust you and me. If you don't know the Mid-Atlantic region and one day you visit that region, don't just go to the capital, Washington, D.C. No. Also go to Charles County, Bryan's Road, to see exactly where the essence of blackness in that region comes from. That is a part of the city that has individuals such as J.C. Parks. And who else, Johnny?
You had J.C. Parks, who was an educator. We mentioned my great-grandfather, J. Wesley K. Sr. J. Wesley Key Jr., who took over the store after him. They have this stereotype of Charles County as being racist. But where I grew up in Bryan's Road, I went to an elementary school and a middle school named after black men. J.C. Parks, and Matthew Henson, who discovered the North Pole, who was from Nangemore, Maryland. But the reason I say that is because representation is important. And that's what some other people don't understand, why we as black people get so behind the Obamas and the Kamala Harrises, because we did not have the representation our entire lives that others had. So whether we necessarily agree or disagree with all of their policies or any of their policies, just the fact that we finally are being represented, have representation, have somebody who looks like us, that understands the struggles that we went through growing up, means so much to us. But the the P-Funk hornsman.
Yes, sir.
My uncle, Greg Boyer, who P-Funk.
Yep.
Played with the local legend, Chuck Brown.
Yep.
Prince.
Yep.
And Maceo Parker. Among other people, but those are the 4 people that he played with on a regular basis. Now, he's played with, a plethora of other people.
Right. Now, and you say he played, but see, it's something interesting because, I do my research. And one of the things that I've found out about Greg Boyer is that he has actually composed some of the horns, even for Prince.
Yes.
And composing for Prince is not like, Prince was known as the one musician who knew exactly what he wanted. And he kind of, so to allow and trust someone enough to allow them to actually do a composition on one of his pieces, it's definitely something great. So Greg,
he was an arranger, and Prince being so hands-on, for him to let my uncle arrange it and be hands-off,
right,
speaks volumes.
Big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Prince, everybody knows he played a plethora of instruments.
Right.
But horns was not his forte. So he entrusted my uncle when he brought him aboard.
Right.
And how that happened is Prince wanted Maceo.
Right.
But when he saw Greg playing with Maceo, he's like, bring that trombone player too. Didn't even know him by name. So it's not like he went off his resume.
Right.
He went off of what he saw working with Greg.
Right.
He earned that trust.
Right.
To get to where he was as far as arranging with Prince.
Indeed. No, that is the one thing that goes back, and I want to connect back to the point of representation, because I know that Charles is also the one. Or actually Bryan's Road, Indian Head, Pamunkey, right, as they know that area, is also the place in which Pamunkey High School is, right? And there is actually some huge historical value on that high school, right? Go ahead and entertain our audience a little bit with a story in regards to that high school, please.
Well, that high school was back during segregation. Aside from Belle Alton, it was the only black high school in Charles County. And unfortunately, the Charles County government reneged on their promise to return that land back to the original owners.
Oh, wow.
So that's why where the high school originally was, because the high school was on a piece of property, then it moved to where Matthew Henson is now. And it was Pamunkey High School at first. Right. But the original land is now a soccer field.
So that's the soccer field across from or behind that building that. Oh, wow.
But that building was part of Pamunkey High School.
Got you. Okay. So the land right there besides United Methodist Metropolitan Church and actually the backside, which is the cemetery. Right.
All that encompasses behind it and to the side of it.
Yes, sir.
Was the campus for the original Pamunkey High School.
Right. And that's across from the parsonage of Metropolitan United Methodist.
Right.
Church. Wow. So who does that land? Who did that land belong to originally? Do you know?
It was a group that Gerard Myers was a part of. I can't remember the name offhand. Right. It was something like Samaritans or something of that ilk, and the group was somewhat defunct when it was time to return it. But the people in the group were still around. And a lot of the people in that group were members of Metropolitan Church.
Right.
So there was a way to return that land to the church per se.
Yeah. And
make it a historical site, but instead they reneged on their promise that is documented. You know, anything that I've said in this interview,
right?
It can be researched and
found. Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. So you come from that lineage of individuals who are socially, politically involved in the community, very community driven, and an Indian Head, for many of the people that don't know, or O'Brien's Road, I should say, and especially that strip of and the members of that location called United Methodist Metropolitan Church are pretty much the cornerstone for that community in a way. And it's one of the first, I should say, probably self-sufficient communities that I was a part of, because you had just about everything in that community. You needed an electrician, you needed a plumber, you needed a bricklayer, you needed a carpenter, you needed a cook. I mean, you needed a farmer. You name it. Yeah, you name it, they had it. I mean, they could survive without much external influence.
Well, let me tell you what they used to do back then.
Yeah.
Because of that, when the houses were being built, because they what they did, and they bought land to hand it down from generation to generation.
Right.
So when it was time to build a house on your property, and let's just say my great grandfather James Clark Sr.
Right.
They know he's an electrician.
Yep.
So say the person that's building the house is a mason. Well, they know this individual is an electrician. This individual is a carpenter. This individual is a plumber. They would get together, help that person build their house. And then when it was your turn, they did the same thing.
Right. So traded services.
Right. They helped each other within the community.
Yeah.
There was no backbiting. It was no, well, you helped him do this a little better than, no, they just did it. This is what you want. And also because regardless of whether you were doing it as a favor or doing it for monetary gain, they took pride in their work.
And that's essential.
So you didn't know if they paid them full price, half price, or no price, because they were about how their work spoke about them.
Yeah, the craftsmanship, the quality, the integrity, the respect for the art.
Right.
Or the craft.
Other part of being a metropolitan is you had the educators.
Yes.
So even if you didn't go to that church, your music teacher might have been Mrs. Morton.
Right. Yeah.
You might have had a teacher like my great aunt Mrs. Upshaw, my great aunt Alcina Clark,
right,
or my great aunt Edna Clark,
right,
or Mrs. Schofield,
yep,
or Eva Chesley,
right.
Or was she an educator?
Yeah,
she was.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, Miss Chesley was, and Mrs. Kane for music also. Mr. Kane,
right, and Mr. Kane.
Yeah, I had
Dave Collins.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Mack.
Yeah.
Like we can go down, and I don't want to, keep going because I'm gonna miss somebody.
Right.
But it was a plethora of educators, so this reached out way past the church.
Indeed.
They had influence on 30 kids every year.
Right.
For generations.
Yeah.
They might have taught you and your parents.
Right. I benefited from that. That was my English school. That was my math. That tutorial program was where I, in all honesty, learned how to write and be good at English, because I would sit at home, watch television, write certain words exactly like I heard them. And then when I get to the tutoring class or ask family members, they'll break it down to me exactly on how it goes, because I never went to an English school like to learn how to speak English. I left, I got to Indian Head in September, and in January I was at Lucky.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I didn't realize that because you picked up on it so fast and so well. Right. Thought maybe in Portugal you had already had.
I did have some vocabulary and stuff like that, but you know that it's never the same. It's not even the same. And then what's
funny is your second mom, my Aunt Edna, was my first grade teacher. Now, me and her will always joke, and she never gave an honest answer, but I always mess with her. I ask her, so did you wait for me to come to first grade because that was her last year.
Oh, really?
She retired after she taught me. So I said, did you wait for me or did I retire you?
There you go. I can see
Because I don't know if she held on because she knew I was coming.
Right.
Or I was just so terrible. She's like, you know what?
I'm done. Yeah, see, when I got there, she was already retired. She was just doing the tutoring program, but they carried that like real school.
Absolutely. Yeah. They broke it down. And, okay, if you're in English, you need your penmanship, you need math.
Yeah.
They broke it.
Oh yeah, and I think that kept us in line because, in all honesty, it kept us out of trouble.
It did.
Yeah, kept us out of trouble a lot of times.
And it was free.
Indeed. Something of that quality. During this program, I'm gonna drop an initiative to you. That I want to do, and let's take another break because our audience needs to take another look at something pertaining to either you or what we're talking about. But we just need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Hello and welcome to Diaspora Central. I am your host, Gil Inglés, the show where we will be showcasing diaspora culture and diaspora talent. Be sure to catch us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Every week, a new program just for you. Stay tuned. And we are back. If you have just joined us, you're listening to Diaspora Central Spotlight. And with me today is Mr. John Rossettos, the actor, Johnny Rossettos, speaking to us directly from his hometown. And today, Bryan's Road is definitely representing the Diaspora USA. Johnny.
Yes, sir.
Man. Bryan's Road. Your inspirations when it comes to acting. I will tell you right now, you surprised me. No, but I'm going to say, I'm going to say it this way. You didn't really surprise me because I know you and you have always had that gift, okay? But you surprised me. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we can see certain things, but you don't really see it until you see it. And when I say you surprised me, is when I actually got to watch you on the screen. I was like, no, this boy is like, he's for real. He is the it. You know what I mean? I was like, this is the it. This is not just, you know what I'm saying? It's not just, I was in a movie. No, he's acting, right? Talk a little bit about that inspiration, man. Where did it come from? How did it start?
Well, from what I was told, it was in me from the crib. So my Aunt Lucretia said that it was this cartoon called Deputy Dog.
What?
And he had a signature laugh. They heard this laugh, but Deputy Dog wasn't laughing. It was coming from the crib.
Oh, wow.
From me.
Wow. And
it freaked them out. And and that's the one thing my family has, be it intentionally or unintentionally, cultivated that because I entertained them as a child.
Yeah.
You know, I would do certain things. It was the song P-Funk called Had Atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Now, Greg, Clark, the Blands, Pierre, Padre, they would all hang out in the rec room. Mm-hmm. And they would tell you when that song came on, they would have me come out and I would, for some reason in my mind, that song sounded like puppet music, like a mariachi puppet.
Right.
And I'm about 4 years old and they said I would come out dancing like a mariachi puppet. And they would just crack up laughing. So they would purposely put this song on.
So that you can give them a show.
And have me come out and entertain them.
Wow. Because, I mean, one thing is for sure, you have never had stage fright.
No.
Yeah. You were always comfortable getting the attention. That is definitely, that's a given. Yeah, that's definitely a given.
And that was also cultivated in the church because when they would have me read in front of the church with me not being afraid, you know, they'd have me up there read scripture And then that's totally different than being at home. You're in front of an audience.
Right.
You're on a stage, if you will.
Right.
And everyone's looking at you.
Right.
And you have a sea of people.
Yeah.
And so even if I stumble and, because some of the Old Testament names were, and I remember an instance, I was reading the scripture and they would try to help you if you messed up on a name.
Right.
But at the time when they said it, everybody said it at a different time, so it overlapped, and I still couldn't hear what they were saying. Right. So I said, "Yeah, what y'all saying?" And just kept reading, and they just cracked up. But afterwards, they were like, "Okay, this is the name," but they liked the fact that
you were able to pick up and roll. Right. Right.
It didn't rattle me. Mm-hmm. They encouraged me to just like keep that confidence. Yeah. People like James Washington. Right. Right. They were they saw something in you, and as a child, they've lived a life. We've only lived up to our point as children. Right. So they would see something in you and encourage you and push you because they wanted to see you do the best at what you were good at. Right. Yeah. No, indeed, man. Because I'll tell you, it's amazing because Metropolitan United Methodist Church, that place, I don't even think I can say thank you enough or even express the gratitude that I feel for that place, man, in all honesty, because one, it kept us off the streets. Two, he honestly gave us a sense of community, a sense of belonging. And that's during the times in which so many things were out there that could have harmed us. Right out on the streets and self-worth. Right, yeah. He gave us self-esteem and confidence. I mean, they sent us to retreats in the summer. Was it Hood College, right? Yeah. It was like, it did create a brotherhood in us, man. I definitely have a lot of respect for that place. Now, I wouldn't be me if it wasn't for Metropolitan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely, between Metropolitan and my family and Bryan's Road and the extended community, right, I wouldn't be who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
because in all honesty, and my grandmother said this, I had a very bad temper growing up. And she said, if you continue with a temper like that, right, you won't get anywhere in life. Yeah. So with the love and the support I had from the church, the family and friends, right, it helped mold me into not being a hothead. Right. So it worked out well. No, yeah. It definitely worked out well, man. I would tell you it worked out well because, brother, I'll tell you, man, it's I love to see what you're doing. I mean, I love seeing what you're doing because trust you and me, man. It's like when I see sometimes some of your posts and I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely my boy. But let's touch a little and let's touch a little bit on the church, because at one point I was like, wait a second, looks like Johnny about to definitely become a man of the cloth. I just do whatever it is they ask me to do. Yeah. I have no aspirations to be right anything but what is asked of me. There you go. Even in the church, even in acting, like right. I do this whole acting thing because it's something I enjoy to do. You already know I've been a character.
Oh yeah.
The first day you met me.
Oh yeah. No, Johnny is Johnny. Yeah. Johnny is Johnny. And I'll tell you, you are star regardless of whatever, because you have always been one of those personalities where when you enter, by the time you leave, there's no doubt everybody's gonna know who you are.
Yeah. And I just, I always had a knack for doing things to make people laugh. I would go into character and do things. Yeah. So entertaining people and making people feel good was just something that was always in me. So when people be like, oh, you should go to Hollywood, that's not why I do this. I don't do this. And I don't even want that type of fame, because then you lose your privacy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've always, like, the only aspiration I have is, as far as acting, is to be the type of actor that you see in everything and you don't even remember his name.
There you go.
But he's steady working.
Right. You like, and
but
then,
you don't hear him on TMZ or
right,
on the news.
right.
He still has their privacy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he's acting enough to where, and it's like those character actors. It's like sometimes you don't even recognize him last thing you saw him in, because he's so diverse. He has so much range.
Right.
That's my goal, is to have that type of range to where you initially don't even realize you just saw me in something yesterday.
Yeah.
But you still don't remember my name.
Indeed.
Because I'm not the Denzel, I'm not the Chadwick Boseman. Because there's a place for everybody.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying that I don't want to be as great as them. I want to be great at what I do, but I'm not the type of person who aspires to be the main person in the spotlight.
There you go. There you go. But you know what? I think the divine light is already on you, brother, because it's always been on you. Because I would tell you, I mean, anyone, 10 people would walk in and you were one of those 10. Chances always were that they would remember you too. And if not, they would just remember you. And I'm going to tell you something that you probably don't know. You were my first friend. You were like the first friend that I had down in that way. You were the first person who actually came up to me and asked me what my name was. And then you told me your name. And then you figured out a way of us at least communicating. We figured out a way of communicating, although I didn't even speak too much and this and that and whatever. So that day, my first day at Metropolitan, after I left, I knew who Johnny was right off the bat. So
I didn't know I was the first person. I do remember
because it was me. It was me and my brother. If you remember, it was me and my brother Flavio.
Yeah.
Right. It was me and my brother Flavio. Right. Yeah. And believe it or not, my brother went back, and my brother, every time he spoke to me, he would ask about you, because you were the only person he remembered. Right. It was from the church, like from the kids in the church and stuff. But then eventually, like other friends started coming in, like at the church, it was definitely you, and at school at Lackey was Dana Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. At Lackey was Dana Johnson. Yeah, Dana Johnson. Right, at Lackey was Dana Johnson when I actually went to school. But from Lackey, the first one was Kevin Rossettos. And and the lady and the girl that he was going out with at the time, I think she was I can't remember her name now. She was something Wise. Her last name was Wise. Mrs. Wise's daughter.
Okay.
Right. And I met them. Right. And I met them at the soccer field. At the time, I wasn't even going to Lackey yet. Right. That was between September and January when I met him. He was out there kicking ball, and then I just kind of went out and we started kicking and whatever, and we became friends. So when I went to Lackey, he was like, okay, one other person that I knew. But the first person that I met once I got to Lackey, it was Dana Johnson. She's actually the person that took me to the front office, and she kind of walked with me that entire day to kind of acclimate me to that school on the first few weeks. Yes, sir.
And she gets that from her parents, Juanita and Roy.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah. Definitely. Mr. Roy Johnson, he was my math man right there. Yeah. A lot of respect for those people, man. But let's go. Let's
hold up, real quick.
Go ahead.
You can't forget your brother though.
Oh no. Oh, you don't. You know that. You know that. I was gonna get into that. No, I was gonna get into that. Daryl. Okay, Daryl. Daryl. Yeah. All right. Daryl. That's a whole show in itself. And eventually I'm gonna do a show with him. That dude is like straight up.
He has your back like no other.
Oh no, that was my blood. That's my brother, dude. That's what when I say when I go, we go. That we is right. We. Because dude, it's like Daryl, Jesse. That's like definitely like a like solid. Daryl, not only Daryl, man, even his late mom, Carolyn King.
Yeah.
I learned how to cook good spaghetti with Carolyn King. Okay.
Yeah.
She's the person that taught me. Seriously, it was like we used to have this spaghetti cooking competition. Whenever we would go stay with her at the apartment in Waldorf.
Gallery place.
Right. We would do this spaghetti competition. So one day one person will cook, another day another person will cook, and that what got my chops up on spaghetti. And I can tell you right now, today I can tell you, in my family, nobody can cook a spaghetti like I can, dude.
Same
That's
here.
it. Yeah.
It's funny because my neighbors, her sons would be like, yeah, Ma, I kind of like Johnny's spaghetti better than yours.
Oh yeah, that was the Kings, man. Yeah, no, Daryl Thomas, no, that's my brother right there. Shout out to Daryl. Shout out to Daryl. It's I haven't been in the region in a minute. Yeah, it's been more than a year due to professional restrictions. I haven't been able to kind of make my way down, and so I haven't seen him since Carolyn's passing. But I spoke to him that day, and I attempted to reach out a few days after, but I know that he probably had a lot going on. But definitely, that's my brother, man, hands down. No.
And
Dude.
What people don't know is people really thought that you two were actually brothers.
Right. We were. I mean, real talk, we were. No, seriously, man. I'm telling you right now, that's the one dude that if you probably would have heard at some point that I got into a fight defending someone, it was probably defending him.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah, indeed. Because, I mean, it was like, that is, and I don't say was, that is like that's my real G right there, no front. Yeah. But let's take another quick break, man, just real quick, so we can come back and talk a little bit about the movies, because I wanna kind of go into some of the movies that you are doing lately, and some of the stuff that you also have coming up, so that we can kind of close this program, man. Good conversation. All right. And for those of you checking us out, you are listening to Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles, and my guest today is Johnny Rossettos. We'll be right back.
What have I done to make you treat me this way?
So you want me to get caught sleeping so I can get fired?
No, I'm not doing that. You choosing to go to work, so you stay up at work. You figure it out. I'm going to be.
Make you do wrong. Make you do
Does he even love me anymore? He's at work more than he's at home. And he finds comfort in talking to other women instead of me. You know what? Maybe I should call him. Because he would love to see me, and God knows I would love to see him. Help me get rid of this frustration. Wait, what am I doing? I can't do that. I cannot do that. God, but Lord knows I want you. I want you more, but I just can't.
Call me. Remember how he used to touch you? Darren can't touch you like that. Feel the lust burn inside of you.
God, please help me. Help me.
All in due time.
Mom, Dad, Tina and I get married.
Are you sure you're ready for marriage?
Remember, for worse or better.
Do you love her?
Yeah, I love her.
But are you in love with her?
I think I am.
Oh, son, you can't think.
Don't get that girl's hopes up.
This is one time in your life where your thinking can't be stinking.
Tina, you know I love you, right? We belong together. Tina, will you marry me?
Married? This is dumb as hell. You're stupid and you dumb as hell, okay? How you gonna marry somebody who's already married?
Tina, listen to Mom. This is dumb. Darren and I are over, and I'm filing for divorce, and that's it.
Hey, Tina, come here. Tina, come here.
She ain't going nowhere.
I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to her.
I don't care who you talking to. I said she ain't going nowhere.
Look at her. She thinks she's got it made. I'm about to wreak havoc on this little thing called marriage.
Marriage is a covenant between a husband and a wife. It is a partnership in which you accept each other wholeheartedly, for better or for worse.
You gotta make a choice. I'm not gonna be second to another man.
I don't want you to get in and then find yourself wanting out. Do you understand what I mean, son?
It is everything as a whole, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Look at this. I told you somebody was gonna get their ass beat. Peter, look at what you're doing.
I must admit it, I slipped up on this one. So now I have to work just a little bit harder to bring this down.
You don't understand how much you hurt me.
And you keep showing up. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You're here. You can't keep showing up whenever you want to.
I'm not gonna keep chasing you, Tina.
You and I need to have a conversation about exactly what that means, for worse or for better.
I'll give her this day to enjoy. But she won't be smiling for long.
You have to let me go. Because if you don't, I'm going to be dead in 6 months.
Amen. Praise the Lord.
And we are back. If you have just joined us, you are listening to Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles, and this is a spotlight on Johnny Rossettos, an actor, poet, musician. I mean, you name it. This brother has got it all. He's just a historian. Today, we're just having a good time with one of those friends that you have had for quite a while, that you can definitely rekindle that creativeness of self. And that's what this brother does to me. Just speaking to him these 45 minutes, he's got me sweating, like real sweating. I was about to take off my jacket. I just didn't take it off because I didn't want to look bad for the camera. But he definitely brought in the heat, and he dropped a lot of firsts here on this show. Johnny, now, you definitely an actor. You lately have been doing a lot of movies. So kind of give us a few of the movies that you have taken part on, and which one of those would you also recommend that our audience definitely checks out?
Okay, well, just released on Amazon Prime is Hands Up, which is about, the Black community and, how we are being policed and viewed. And it's a real movie.
Right.
It doesn't pull any punches, but it's not vulgar or over the top or indecent, but it's real at the same time. And I play a article writer, Jason Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to remember these character names. But yeah, you can check that out on Amazon Prime. It's Hands Up, hands with a Z and not an S at the end.
Okay. No.
Roosevelt Jackson, who it's funny because I wound up working with him by accident.
Okay.
I went to a movie that a friend of mine I know, Renee Michelle, shout out to her. She's an advocate as far as women and children being abused, and she's a very strong advocate for that.
Right.
She's a speaker, and so shout out to her. So I went to see her. She was in the movie, and afterwards, I just went up and I complimented him from the standpoint of someone who, because I had did a little bit of acting at the time,
right?
And I complimented him from someone from behind the scenes, not just someone who's watching it.
Right.
And I complimented him, and I let him know. I said I've done a little bit of acting, so the things that I see and blah blah blah. And he said, I can use you, and I was like, okay. And so he took my information, and from there I worked with him. My very first stage play was with him at the historic Howard Theater.
Wow. So,
and it was a Father's Day play.
Wow.
And I wound up having to play 2 characters in that play because one of the other people couldn't make it, and we didn't have time to cast somebody else.
Right. So
I had to play my original character and then turn around and put on this wig with dreadlocks and some glasses.
Right.
And the funny thing about this is a friend of mine that was there said they heard 2 ladies arguing whether or not that was the same person. And they said one of the ladies said, no, the other guy was taller.
Oh, there you go. No, that's a good thing. Look, that means that you did what you were supposed to do.
Right.
Indeed.
That was a compliment.
And that was your
now-
first play. What was the name of that? And what was the name of that play? You remember?
I can't remember all of it. It was it was a Father's Day play. Unseen Presence. There it is.
Unseen Presence. There you go.
Unseen Presence.
Yeah.
And from that point on, he had me working in a lot of his films. Life According to Rashida 2, Residue 1 and 2. It's quite a few others. It was one about mental health. The one Hands Up. Right. So he was putting me to work. And then another play that I was in, the Ties That Bind.
Okay. This
was the first play that I was in that my Uncle Greg was able to attend.
Okay.
And he gave me a compliment that's going to resonate with me for the rest of my life. He said, when I watched this play, I didn't see my nephew. I saw Detective Jones.
That's what I do.
And this is coming from a person who I was raised in the same house with. So if I could remove myself from someone who's known me my whole life, sat at dinner tables with, and he no longer saw me and saw that character, I did my job.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, dude, like I told you at the opening of this show, when I saw what I saw, I was like, yo, this is real right there. This is not, because, you know, there are actors who act like they're acting, right?
Yeah.
Nah, man.
So the director and the writer of The Ties That Bind.
Yeah, you can give the names. You can give the names if you remember. Yeah.
Yeah, Lorraine McDaniels. She wanted me to be in another play she was doing about her and her husband's life.
Okay.
Behind Closed Doors.
Yeah.
Which is the clip that I sent you, because it was initially supposed to be a stage play.
Right.
So that was a trailer for the play that we were going to do, but due to COVID, we wind up turning it into a movie.
Wow. Major changes. And now one of the things that a lot of people don't know, because people could be listening to you and saying, oh, well, you know, he comes from a family of famous people, and he probably has had formal training and this and that. Have you had any formal training prior to you actually doing your first play?
Miss Whitlock at Lackey High School, Theater Arts 1, 2, and 3.
There you go. Charles County again. Charles County, fully and well represented, 100% on the chart, like no mark missing.
Yeah. Indeed. She was my theater arts teacher, and she actually wanted me to do some of the plays that they were doing, but I wasn't really interested.
I remember that, Johnny.
I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. The kind of plays they were doing just didn't, which, you know, as an immature mind, you know, you're a teenager.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not doing that type of cornball stuff.
Right.
But if I had the mind I had now, like, yeah, let me do that, because that's going to work on my range.
Right. Right.
You know, that's the whole purpose of acting, is to make you be someone else and make them believe that you're that person.
Right.
That's not you.
Indeed. Yeah. No.
Anybody can get up there and play themselves.
There you go. Well, some people still kind of mess up when they play them.
True.
Yeah.
But to get the people that
I see what you're saying. Right.
The best thing an actor can do is evoke some sort of emotion in a person, whether it be anger, sadness, hatred, empathy. If you can draw your audience in to really feel something towards you, I don't care if they hate you when they see you in person. If you playing a bad guy and people still hate you even though you're not on the screen anymore, and someone comes up to you on the street, I can't stand you, that's better than an Academy Award.
Indeed. Always. Indeed.
Yeah.
Because at that point you played that role so well that it's
they can't see anything else.
No.
They can't see you shopping or getting something to eat as a normal person.
Right.
They see that individual you played that pulled some sort of emotion out of them.
Right. Indeed. No, definitely yes. But Johnny, this conversation is so great, brother, and that time is really getting to the point in which we may have to say goodbye, but I can't let you say goodbye without first you giving a few shout outs, especially to those that definitely matter to you. We spoke about your grandmother, but I don't think you even mentioned her by name, so I kind of want to I apologize. Looked like I spoke when you were speaking. Go ahead and say it again, please.
No, Felicia Boyd, that the woman who helped raise me, along with my aunt Lucretia Boyd.
Right.
And you know, and my mother who took me in as a teenager when I had gave my grandmother enough. Mm-hmm. If we're being honest, you know, she raised the kids, and I was smelling myself.
Right.
And then my mother took it from there.
Right. And her name?
Neonda Dutch Malik, born Beverly Boyer, but changed her name to Neonda Dutch Malik.
Yeah.
Who helped cultivate that wokeness in me before woke was a word.
Right. and that's a show. In all honesty, I think you and I, we will have to do one show to talk about Neonda. And
right.
Yeah, because that in itself is a show, man. Socially, the social consciousness in her, it was next level. Yeah, it was next level. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but any shout outs?
Shout outs. Be on the lookout for Behind Closed Doors. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it'll be somewhere on Netflix or something once we're wrapping up soon.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for Behind Closed Doors, a story of redemption, where I play Darren McDaniels, the husband. And I can't go into too many details, but this movie, it's real.
There you go.
I don't even understand how Lorraine McDaniels and Derek McDaniel, it's no S. I keep saying S on it. It's McDaniel, no S.
Okay.
The story that they're telling it needs to be told, but they took themselves out of it and took their pride to be honest and forthright with their story.
Wow. So that's raw.
It's raw and transparent.
That's good. Because that in itself also is good production and good direction. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and of course, I mean, a shout out to United Methodist, to Metropolitan United Methodist Church. Shout out to you. Yeah, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Shout out to anyone that is either been down or still down with Bryan's Road or Charles County, period. Right?
Yeah.
Because this is, I mean, home is home, and definitely, man, a pleasure, and thank you, humbled for you accepting our invitation to come in and share your journey, brother. No, it's always a pleasure, brother. If I go, we go.
Yeah.
And give my regards to everyone else in the fam, man. And
I will.
we good. We holding it down and definitely still striving to ensure that we leave that mark. And to everyone else who is definitely taking an opportunity to watch this program, please remember that at times it's not even what surrounds you that will make you who you are. No, it's your desire to succeed and to overcome whatever obstacles may be around you that will make you someone who's probably the legacy for others to come. So until next time, thank you for listening to Diaspora Central. I am Gil Ingles, and my guest has been Johnny Rossettos. By the way, I know some people still call you Johnny Boyer.
Once in a while, yeah.
Dappity dog. It's been a pleasure, brother. So for all of y'all, thank you. This is Diaspora Central. Until next time, peace.